Let's select everybody. Well, for today's session, I would like to continue from where we left off in the last week's video lesson. Before I proceed any further, if I could recall the content of the last week's lesson. I remember starting a new chapter, all-important chapter called Data Structures. I explained the definition, and then there were the main categories followed by subcategories. I remember explaining all of those items in a very brief fashion. But I remember focusing mainly on the first data structure, and that is the linear list. And there were a few important operations like traversal, searching, and then how to insert an element in the list, how to delete an element from the list using both ways. The first one is traditional and the second one is Pythonic approach. Even though we have two different methods, but they are very much a part of Python programming language. The fact that we actually term the second method as Pythonic is there were new functions or features in the Python programming language using which the whole task could be simplified to a great length. Hence, we named the second method as Pythonic approach. Right? So today I would like to focus again on a very important feature, and that is sorting. You have numbers randomly placed in a list. So to sort them either in ascending order or descending order is such an important feature, especially in the softwares related to the numbers or the numerics. For example, the spreadsheet software or the Google Sheet. Okay, so there are three main methods. The first one is the selection, second one is the bubble, and the third one is the insertion. The later two have been covered already in class 11, but since these three methods form such a crucial or an integral part of class 12 curriculum, it's worth spending one session on all three methods, right? So the first one will be selection. So this is altogether a new method. So before we write a program for any task, it's super important to be able to remember and recall the algorithm correctly. Algorithm is the logical sequence of steps in order to perform an operation. So if you remember the algorithm correctly, you'll be able to move on smoothly onto writing of the program. Okay? So let's say we'll have a list like this, 25, and then I'll have 15, 30, and then say 10, 20, 40, and then I'll have 35. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then you have 40. Right? Let's say I have the list in which the elements are placed randomly, and then you have the index as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the logic behind this selection method is, first things first, you need to pick up the smallest number in the list, and then once you find the index of the smallest number, you need to interchange that smallest number with the first element. So if you just traverse the list, you find that this is the smallest, right? So once you figure out that this is the smallest number, we need to have it swapped with the first one. So this 10 will be here, right? And this 25 will take the place of the smallest number. So this 25 will be here. So the new list will look something like this. Okay? The new list at the end of the first inner cycle will look something like this. Okay, you have these two numbers interchanging their places, and then I now need to move on with the next element. Okay, so again I start from here. I start from this. I find I try to find the smallest number, among these. So since this is the smallest number, the list will not be disturbed. It will still be 15, 30, 25, 20, 40, and then you will have 35. So we'll go for one more list. So once you are done with the third one, again it will start from here. So the smallest numbers are selected and then they are being interchanged with the index beginning from 0. And then again it starts from here. This is the smallest number. So the 20, this particular number will be interchanged with this. So the new list will look something like this. You'll have 20 here. 25 will remain as it is, and then this 30 will take the place of 20, alright? So this will go on and on until at the end all the numbers will be sorted in ascending order. So just try to get the brief view of how the algorithm works, and then it will help you to write the program better. Now let's start the program. Let's say this is the list, alright? This is the list. So I have numbers like, okay, just write it here. List is equal to, you have 25, 15, 30, 10, 20, 40, and then you have 35, right? And then we'll start the outer loop for I in range, and then I'll have length of list. Alright? So the outer loop is to make sure that I am done with all the comparison. Okay? All the possible comparisons. In order to keep track of this, I have the outer loop. So I need to start from the first element. Okay, I need to start with the first element and then start comparing the rest of the numbers with this. So I'll have a small variable to which I assign the first element. Let's say the first element is the smallest element. So I'll just write here list of I. Okay, and then I'll use another variable called k to which I assign the index. So what I have in small is the first element, the value of I will start from 0. I'll have the first element as the smallest number, okay, to start with, and then I'll keep track of the index. I'll keep track of the index of the smallest number. Now since I'm starting the program, we're just assuming that the first element is indeed the smallest. We now need to go further. I'll have another loop. This time I'll have j in range. Okay. Now from here on I'll be using the numbers starting from 15. Okay. I'll be starting from here. So which means j value should start with I plus 1. The value of I will start with 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So j will pick up the subsequent numbers, and then the comparison will actually start, and then it should move on till the end, length of list. Alright, and then I'll have the colon. Okay, so now this is important. If the list of j, remember the value of j starts from 1. Okay, so list of 1 means I am referring to the 15, right? If 15 is less than small, if it's less than small, then in small I should be assigning the value of list of j, and then I have to record the value of j in k. Okay, so we'll try to understand the program till this point. J value starts from 1. Remember, the j value starts from 1. So the list of 1, the value of small to start with is the value of I starts with 0. The value of I starts with 0. list of 0 means 25. 25 will be assigned to small, okay, and then the value of I will be assigned to k, okay, and then the value of j. This j will start with a 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. So the value of j will start from 1. Okay. So list of 1 means you are referring to 15. Okay. You have list of 1 as 15, and then the value of small being 25. Okay. If the condition is true, list of 1 which is 15 is indeed less than the small which is 25. Okay, if this condition is true, the list of 1 which is 15 will become the new value of small. Okay, so the 15 will be assigned to small, and then you have the value of j as 1. The 1 will be assigned to k. So we go for the next value of j. Okay, the next value of j will be 2. Earlier it was 1. Now it will be 2. Now when the value of j is 2, what happens is list of j means 2. Alright? List of j means 2. So list of 2 means you are referring to 30. So you will now have 30 here, and then in small, remember I have the value of 15. Alright? Okay, so again the condition is evaluated. 30 is less than small. 30 is less than 15, the condition is false. If the condition is false, these two statements will not be executed. So you will still have the value of small as 15, and the value of k will still be 1, the index value of 15. So again it goes for the next value of j. The next value of j will be 3. So as and when the j progresses from 1 and so on and so forth, if the number is indeed less than the small, that particular number will replace the value of small. So at the end of the first inner cycles, what happens is in small you will have the least value or the smallest value, which is 10. Okay, and then the index of the smallest number, which is 3, will also be recorded here. Okay, so at the end of all inner cycles, you will have the smallest element of 10. 10 will be assigned to small here, and then the index of 10, which is 3, will be assigned to k. So till this point, what's happening is I'm trying to figure out the smallest number. Okay, so once I get the smallest number, I now need to swap or interchange the smallest number with the first element. Remember, the 10 and 25 are interchanged. Okay, so how do I do the interchange? Is I'll take the help of temporary variable, in which I'll assign the list of I. The list of I means you're referring to list of the value of I is still 0. Okay, so list of 0 points to 25. 25 is assigned to 10, and then in list of I assign the list of k. Remember, in k I have the index of the smallest number, and then finally in list of k I assign the value of 10. So basically what am I doing is I'm trying to change the cup of coffee and cup of tea, but I'm taking the help of another empty cup. Pour tea in the empty cup, pour coffee in the cup of tea, and then pour that thing back to the coffee. So this is how I do the interchange between the two numbers. Okay, so we'll once again run the program and check. Just get rid of all these. It's a little confusing, but if you pay proper attention, it's not that confusing, right? Okay, let's do this real quick. Okay, the value of I will start from 0. Okay, the value of I will start from 0, and then list of 0 is 25. 25 will be assigned to small, and then the value of I, which is 0, will be assigned to k, and then j in range I plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. The value of j will start with 1. List of 1 means you're pointing to 15. Okay, and the value of small is 25. All right, so 15 is less than 25. The condition is true. If the condition is true, the list of j, the list of 1, which is 15, will be assigned to small. Earlier we have 25 as the small value. It will now be replaced with 15, and then I also record the value of j, which is 1 in k. Okay, and then from here I go for the next value of j. The next value of j is 2. Okay, so list of 2 is 30. All right, so you will have 30 here. 30 is less than small. The new value of small is 15. Remember? Okay, in the earlier loop we have the new value of small as 15. 30 is less than small. Is this condition true? The condition is false, which means these two statements will not be executed, which also means that small will still have the value of 15 and k will have its index. Now let's let's go for the next value of j, which is 3. Oh, this is important. So list of 3 means it's 10. Okay, list of 3 is 10. Is 10 less than 15? The condition is true. If the condition is true, 10 list of 3, which is 10, will now become the new value of small. Okay, so you will have here 10. And then the value of j being 3 will be assigned to k. So till this point we have the value of small as 10 and the value of k, which is its index, as 3. And then when the value of j becomes 4 points to 20, list of 4, 20, is it less than 15? No. Okay, so both the statements will be skipped. Again, it goes for the next value of 5. 40 will not be less than small, nor 35 also. Okay, so at the end of all the first inner cycles, you have the value of small as 10 and the value of k, which is its index, as 3. Okay, so once I'm done with this, once I'm done with all the inner cycles for the first outer loop, I now need to continue with this. Okay, this is also a part of the outer for block. And then over here, what's happening is the value of I, remember, is 2. Since this is the first outer loop, you'll have the value of I as 0. List of 0 is 25. Right at the beginning, we have recorded the list of 0 to small, right? So let's not use this because it's been changed already, but list of I is still pointing to the first element. So list of 0 means you are pointing to 25. 25 will be assigned to 10. And then list of k, the value of k is 3, the index of the smallest number of the list. So you have the value of k as 3. List of 3 means you're pointing to 10. Okay, you're pointing to 10, and then what happens here is list of 3. List of 3 means you are referring to 10. All right, so this 10 will be assigned to list of I. Okay, so you will now have list of I or list of 0 as 10. You have it here. Okay, 10 will now replace the list of 0. And then you have this 25. The value of 10 is 25. which is the first element, will now be assigned to list of k. The value of k is 3. So list of 3. In the list of 3, I'll now have the value of 10, which is 25. So this 10 will come here and this 25 will go there. Okay, so this is how you interchange between the smallest number with the first element, right? So let's go for one more loop, okay, and then you'll be able to understand the program. Now once I'm done with this, when you print the list, it will look something like this: 10, 15, 30, 25, 20, 40 and 35. So I'm done with the first part, that is, the smallest number is placed at the very start of the list. I now need to start the outer for loop from here on, okay, from here on. So that's when the value of I will now change to 1, okay. So the next value of I will be 1. List of 1 is 50. Now this is the new list, all right. So the old list has been changed with the new list. So this time the list of 1 means you're pointing to 15, all right. 15 will become the value of small. I now should not be touching the first element because I'm done and dusted, because I got the smallest number in the list right at the front. So the value of I, which is 1, okay, the value of I, which is 1, will be assigned to k. And then again, the value of j. The value of I being 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. The value of j will start from 2, right? I'll just remove all these. Okay, so now look at this. Now the new value of j is 2. List of 2. List of 2 means you're pointing to, don't look at this, right? 30, right? So list of 2, you are actually pointing to 30, all right? So you have list of 2 as 30, and then the value of small is 15, remember? Okay, so again do the comparison. 30 is less than 15. Is 30 less than 15? The condition is false. So both the statements will be skipped, and you will still have the value of small as 15 and the value of k as 1. Okay, so there won't be any changes as such. And then let's go for the next value of j. The next value of j will be 3. So list of 3 means you are pointing to 25, right? So the next value will be 25. 25 less than 15, the condition is false. So as and when you keep changing the value of j from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, you must notice that all the numbers are not smaller than 15. Okay, look at this: 25, 20, 40, 35. All these numbers are not less than small, which means the value, these two conditions will never be executed. Okay, so once I'm done with all the cycles, this condition will never ever be true, since the 15 is the smallest. And then when you come out, what happens is the value of small will still be 15 and the value of k will still be 1. Okay, so even if you try to execute this, there won't be any changes as such. If you just give it a try, the value of I is 1. Remember, the value of I is 1. List of 1 is 15. 15 will be assigned to 10. Okay. The value of k is again 1. Remember, this condition has never ever been true. So which means there won't be any changes to the value of small or any changes to the value of k. The original value of small as 15 and the original value of k as 1 will still be intact. So list of 1 again, is 15. So you have 15 here, 15 will be assigned to 15. So basically what happens is there won't be any change as such, alright? So this will keep swapping with the element itself. As a result, there won't be any change as such. So at the end of the second the program, you will still have the 15 at its same index value. Okay, so you will have something like this, right? 10, 15. Now for the next one, so we'll go for the one more and then we'll stop with the explanation of the program. Okay, the next value of I will be 2. Okay, let's do this real quick. The next value of I is 2. You now need to focus on this. Okay, now this is the latest list, right? At the end of the second outer loop. So when the value of I becomes 2, the list of 2 is 0, 1, 2, 30. Okay, 30 becomes the smallest number. Okay, 30 becomes the smallest number, and the value of I, which is 2, will be recorded in K. And then the value of I being 2, 2 plus 1, J will start with a value of 3. Okay, so list of 3 means you're referring to 30. Oh, list of 3 means you are referring to, okay, I'm sorry, made a mistake here. List of 3. Alright, right, 0, 1, 2, 3. So list of 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3. You're pointing to 25. Alright? So 0, 1, 2, 3. You're pointing to 25. The value of small is 30. Okay? 25 is less than 30. The condition is true. 25 is less than 30. The condition is true, which means the list of J or the list of 3 or 25 will now replace the value of small, which was 30. Remember? So you will have 25 here. Okay? So may I know the index value of J or the list of J, and that is 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'll have here 3. Okay? So I have 25 here and then J as 3 in K. Now let's go for the next value of J, which is 4. Alright? So J of 4 is 20. Is it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So list of 4 means you are pointing to a value of 20. And then in small I have 25. Okay? So 20 is less than 25. The condition is true. Hence 20 will now become the new value of small. Okay? And then the index, since the value of J is 4, 4 will be assigned to K. Okay? So when the value of J changes to 5, when it changes to 5, it points to 40. 40 is not less than 25. Finally, when the value of J becomes 6, 35 is not less than 25 also. So at the end of the third outer loop, you will have the new value of small as 20, okay, and then you will have the new value of K as 4, okay. And now we need to do the interchange or the swapping, okay. So may I know the value of I? The value of I is 2. Remember, the value of I is 2. So list of 2 means you are pointing to 30. 0, 1, 2. Okay, so you will have here 30, and then the value of K as 4. The value of K as 4. List of 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means the 20. This is the index of the smallest number. So 20 will be assigned to list of 2. 20 will be assigned to the list of 2. So what happens here is this particular 20 will now be here. Okay? And then the value of 10, which is 30. 30 will be assigned to the list of 3. So you have this 30 here. This 30 will be assigned to list of 3. Okay, list of 3 means 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you have the value of 10. 10 as 30. 30 will be assigned to, sorry, but this is 4, right? Okay, this is 4. So the 10 will be assigned to the list of 4. Where is list of 4? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this will be assigned to the 4th index. Okay, so as and when you go further and further, what happens is, if I just complete this 10, 15, okay, you'll have like this. And then what happens is, you'll have 10, 15, you'll have 20, okay, you'll have this 25 is the smallest, so it will remain at the same place. It will remain at the same place. Now, when you go for the next one, these two will be interchanged. 30 will still be in the same place, okay, there won't be any changes as such, and then finally, these two will be interchanged. Okay, so the program is a little complicated, but provided you follow the logic properly, it should be pretty simple. Okay, so this program is what we refer to as the selection method. What's happening here is, briefly if I tell you, I first record the first element in small, I record its index also, and then I pick up the smallest number. In the inner cycles, I pick up the smallest number, and then I interchange the smallest number with the first element. Okay, this is being done by this block, and then I start with the next value of I. I start from here on. Since I'm done and dusted with this, I now start from here, and then I record this in the small variable, and then from J, using the J variable, I pick up the smallest, and then whichever is the smallest, I interchange. Since this 15 remains the smallest number, there won't be any change as such. You are swapping the number, with itself, so there won't be any change as such. And then, it starts from here. Again, I'll record this in small variable. From here on, I pick up the smallest. Which is 20, and then 20 and 30 will change their places, respective places. And then again, record this 25 in the small. From here on, again pick up the smallest. Since this 25 is already the smallest number, there won't be any changes as such. So is the case with 30, right? And then when it comes to 40, I pick up this number. Since this number is the smallest between the 40 and 35, the places will be swapped or interchanged. All right. So this is how I write the program for the selection. So if you could complete the program on this note, if you write the statement or print here, print list, and then rather than writing this here, so for each outer cycle, you will have a new list being printed. So at the end, you will have like 6, the list being printed. So at the end of each outer loop, you will have a new list being prepared. But if you take a close look at the end of the list, you will have numbers perfectly sorted in ascending order. But if you write this here, it'll be better for your understanding. Otherwise, if you could write this here, you will just have one final list being printed. So this is with regard to the selection. Now let's move on to the next one. The next one is the bubble sort, which should be pretty simple. I hope you do remember how the bubble works, the algorithm behind the bubble sorting. Okay. Now the next one is the bubble. So again, let us try to understand the algorithm a little bit. So you have again numbers like, start from 25, 15, 30, 10, 40, and then I have 35, and then I'll have the 20, alright? So you'll have the index lined up like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bubble works like this. It's quite simple. You know, these two numbers are checked with each other. You know, if this is bigger, you know, it'll be pushed here. So this 25 will be here, okay, and this 15 will be here. And then again, this number will be compared with 30. The second will be compared with 30. You know, if it's bigger, you have to interchange their places. So if I just write it like this, 10, 40, 35, and then you will have 20, right? I think it's better if I write like this. Okay? So at the end of the first inner cycle, since 25 is, since 15 is less than 25, you know, their places should be interchanged. And then for the next inner cycle, 25 will be interchanged with this, 30. Since 25 is less than 30, there won't be any interchange, okay, interchanging. And then 30 will be compared with 10. You know, since 10 is less than 30, you know, these two, their respective places, you know, will be changed, alright? So what happens here is 10 will come here, and then you will have 30 here, 25, and then you will have 15, alright? So, and then 40, 35, and then you have 20. So again, 30 will be compared with 40. If it's less, you know, keep it intact. You know, if it's greater, you know, the places should be changed. This 40, since, you know, it's greater than 35. Since 35 is less than 40, you know, 35 will come here, and 40 will come here, and then 40 will be again compared with 20. Since 40 is greater than 20, you know, their places should be changed, and then you will have 40 like this. So at the end of the first outer loop, okay, at the end of first outer loop, what happens is the greatest number or the largest number will be placed right at the end. Okay, so this is very important. At the end of the first outer loop, the biggest number or the largest number will go right at the back, which means we now need not bother the last number. But again, we need to come back and start the process all over again, excluding the last number. This is the rough sketch of the algorithm of bubble sort. Since it's been a year since you have touched upon the bubble method, you must have forgotten a bit. So let's do the program real quick. So again, I'll have list is equal to, you'll have 25, okay, 15, 30, 10, 40, 35, and then you have 20. Okay, so we'll have two loops for I in range, okay, and then you have length of list. Don't forget this. And then the next one will be for j in range. Now this is for the comparison between the numbers. Okay, so the process of comparing the numbers within the list is being represented by the inner list. So this loop should continue till the value of length of list minus I minus 1. This is very important. Okay, so let's say when I'm done with the first outer loop, what happens when I'm done with the first outer loop? I should be excluding the last number. So this number will become less and less. This is the limit to which I need to move on with the comparison, right? So I'll come to that a little later on. And then how do you do the comparison is, if the list value, if the list, when do I do the comparison is, if the value of j is less than the value of list j plus 1. Okay, look at this. The value of j will start from 0. Okay, the value of j starts from 0. List of 0 is being compared with list of 0 plus 1. This is being compared with this. Okay, so I'm sorry, I think I've made a little mistake. So I think it has to be like this. Okay, if the list of j, the value of j starts with 0. If the list of 0 is greater than list of 0 plus 1, if the first element is greater than the second element, then I should change their respective places. Or you could write, if the list of j plus 1 is less than list of j, then you should interchange their places, right? So if the condition is true, then what I do is I change their places, right? So this is pretty simple. Why don't you take the help of temp is equal to list of j. Okay, this is how you interchange the cup of coffee and cup of tea using another empty cup. List of j, and then I have list of j plus 1, and then in list of j plus 1 I assign the value of 10. Okay, so this program is a little simpler than this. So we'll try to run the program. And check whether we are reaching the correct output or not. Okay, so we'll do this real quick. So the value of I start, the length of list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you have the value of limit as 7, which means the I will start from 0 and then it will stop at 6. You know, you are completely aware of this. And then the length of list, since the value of I is 0 to start with, the length of list is 7. 7 minus 0 minus 1 is 6. Okay, so length of list is 7. The value of I is 0. Okay, and then 7 minus 1 is 6, which means the j value as 6 will not be considered. Okay, this will not be considered. You have a reason, because when the value of j reaches 5, you know, you are comparing with j plus 1. Okay, so the final value of j will be 5. When the value of j becomes 5, you know, it will be compared with j plus 1. Okay, so which means, you know, the inner cycles stops exactly at the 5th one. If you do not write this, what happens is it will continue till this point, and then you don't have any value as j plus 1. Okay, so that's when the Python will report an error. So as of now, the limit of j will be 6. Okay, let's do the comparison. The value of j is 0, right? The value of j is 0. J plus 1 is 1. List of 0 is 25. Is it? List of 0 is 25, and then list of 1 is 15. Alright? 25 is greater than 15. The condition is true. 25 is greater than 15. Condition is true. 25 will be assigned to 10. Okay? 15. List of 1, 15 will be assigned to list of 0. So 15 will be assigned to list of 0. And then you have the value of 10 is 25. 25 will be assigned to list of 1. So 25 will be assigned to list of 1. So at the end of the first inner cycle, this is just the first, end of just the first, you know, the inner cycle, you will have like this. 30, 10, 40, 35, and then 10. Okay? Right. Okay. Now when the value of I is 0. Is it? 0, right? Now let's go for the next value of G. Let's go for the next value of J. Now this time the J value will be 1. Okay, this is J, sorry, this is 0 and this is 1. Alright, so when the value of J is 1, what happens is J is 1, J plus 1 is 2. Alright, and then the value of list of 1 is 25. Okay, list of 1 is 25. Now this should now be compared with the next value. List of 2 is 30. Okay, you have these two numbers, right? List of 1 is 25. List of 2 is 30. You have 25 being compared with 30. Okay, is 25 greater than 30? You know, the condition is false. If the condition is false, what happens? All three statements which represent the interchange will be skipped. Alright? So at the end of second inner cycle, you know, it will still be 15, 25, 30, 10, 40, 35, and then you have, okay, 20. Alright? Now we'll go for the next value of J. We'll go for the next value of J. Okay, let's do this one more. Okay, let's do this one more. When the value of J becomes 2, what happens is you're now pointing to 0, 1, 2. You're now pointing to this. Okay, so list of 2. The value of list of 2 is 0, 1, 2. Okay, 0, 1, 2, which is 30. And then J plus 1 is 3. List of 3 means you are pointing to, okay, 10. You're pointing to 10, which means I'll have list of 3 as 10. So 30 is greater than 10. 30 is greater than 10. The condition is true. If the condition is true, what happens is they will be interchanged. Alright? So this 10 will come here. And then this 30 will, you know, will be at the earlier index of 10. So likewise, you know, if you just go on with the explanation, you will realize that, you know, the 40. Now over here, when you compare 30 and 40, what happens is the condition becomes false. Okay, if the condition becomes false, you know, it will consider the next value, which is 40, as the biggest. Okay, so this will move on and on until, you know, the 40 will be placed right at the end. So you will have something like, you know, if you just move on, 30, 40, you will have here, this is what, okay, 35, and this will be, okay, 30. Okay, so you'll have some numbers, you know, some random numbers, but what is assured is, you know, the 40 will be at the last. 40 will be at the last. So I guess there will be something like this. 15, you will have 25, 10, you know, you have this 30, okay, and then I missed out on one number, 10, 15, okay, right. So you have here 10, 15, okay, where is my 20? Okay, 20 will be right here, and then you will have 35. Okay, so at the end of the first outer loop, what happens is you will have this status. You will have the status of the list, new list, like this. Okay, now when the value of I becomes 1, take a proper look. When the value of I becomes 1, the change that you're going to see here is, this is important, the change that you're going to see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So 7 minus 1 minus 1. Okay, 7 minus 2 is 5. So you will have the new value of the limit as 5. So the comparison now should stop at the 4. Okay, so if you just move on 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright? So this has been decided, right? So this time the inner cycles, you now need to start comparing from here, okay? Number 1, do you see a change here? No. 15, is it greater than 25? No. So it will still remain as it is. And then just complete this, 35 and then 20, and then you will have 40. So again, this 25, will change its place with this. Okay, this will go on. We now need to stop at this particular point. Okay, so when the value of j becomes 4, the last value of j has to be 4. Okay, so when the value of j becomes 4, the list of j will be compared with list of j plus 1. Okay, this is where the second outer loop should stop, because we should not be touching on the last one. And then again, when you go for the next value of I, which is 2, the length of it is 7 minus 2 minus 1, which is 4. So it should stop at 3. By then, these two numbers would have been sorted already. The second largest number would have been pushed to the second last index. Okay, so this is basically how the bubble sort works. I'm sorry if it looks a little messy, but if you follow the program with proper caution, there is no reason why you shouldn't understand the program. So the fact of the matter is, the first number will be compared with the next. Okay, if this number is less than this, or if this number is greater than this, then their places should be interchanged. So again, this number will be compared with the next one. If it's greater, it should be interchanged. Otherwise, it should be left as it is. So move on. At the end of all the inner cycles, you'll find the largest number being pushed right at the back. And then when you start the next value of I as 1, again you need to start the comparison all over again. But more importantly, you should be excluding, the last number, and that will be controlled by this particular, the limit expression. Okay, so this is how the bubble sort works.